Okay, so before just going into pandas, I would like to just mention like what is the importance of this particular package in Python. Okay, so yesterday I was showing you a simple Titanic dataset, right? So you have seen like there are around some thousands of rows, and then there are around like 15 to 20 columns. Okay, so why do you need a package like pandas? So basically, like I said yesterday, when you have a data set, not all fields are actually like very important for you to address, or not all fields you need to take for a machine learning model. So before you actually give any data to the machine learning model, you need to do a lot of pre-processing. So the pre-processing can involve a lot of steps. Okay, for example, converting a categorical data to a numerical data, and converting some kinds of labels and stuff to a numerical data, and then finding out some kinds of missing values, because if a particular column is there, for example like an age or something, if there are too many missing data in the sense like the data is not available, it's just a blank. Okay, so if there are a lot of missing data, then how do you address it? How do you take it? Because if there is a lot of missing data, your data set is actually like biased. Okay, it's not a proper data set. So even if you run a machine learning algorithm, it will give you a very less accurate results. So and in case if you have too many dimensions of data, what do I mean by too many dimensions of data is nothing but there are too many columns or too many features to consider in the data set. So can you reduce the dimensionality of that particular data? That means, can you eliminate some kinds of features which are not actually contributing to the result? So all that kind of stuff. Okay, all that stuff. And not just that, if you want to combine one or two data sets, okay, if you want to combine one or two data sets, or if you want to do some kind of a manipulation on the columns, for example dropping a column, modifying a particular column, or merging a few columns with another data set of few columns, so all that stuff you can actually do it in pandas. So pandas is a package that will allow you to make your data ready. Okay, before giving it to the machine learning algorithm, you can do all pre-processing in the pandas, keep your data absolutely ready, and then you can give that data to the machine learning algorithm so that you get better and accurate results. So that is the idea behind using this particular package. And believe me, most of the jobs out there on machine learning and data science, I assume 80 to 85% of the time, the job that they do is only pre-processing. Okay, pre-processing is such an important step because pre-processing is not that easy. Whoever is doing pre-processing should have good idea on the pre-processing tools, and not just that, he should have a good mathematical and statistical background, because only then the person will know what to do and what not to do. So pandas is one of the best pre-processing tools, and it is a very 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 important step in the whole machine learning pipeline. Okay, so that is the reason I was telling yesterday that we will focus a little more and take some good time in understanding how to use pandas for all the pre-processing. Okay, so Python package, it's a Python package providing fast and flexible and expressive data structures designed to make working with structured data. Okay, so please understand one thing. You can correlate all the data structures that we have in pandas just similar to your SQL databases. Okay, so everything is in terms of tables. Okay, just like in your SQL databases, uh, I mean in relational database management systems, you keep all your data in the form of tables like rows and columns, right? So exactly that's how you are going to manage the data here also. And uh, on a SQL database or on a table, what we generally do in order to get some data, fetch some data, is that we will write a SQL query, right? We will write a SQL query and then we will fetch the data. So similar to that, here also we have certain functions in pandas which will allow us to query the data and then get the results appropriately by filtering the data. Okay, so one of the I mean, there are actually three data we have, I mean, we have something called as um, three different data types in pandas. So first one is called as the series. Okay, the second one is called as the frames. I think the third one is called as a panel, but we will never use it. Okay, generally we don't use it. So mostly we will be focusing on these two data types. One is series and the other one is called as a data frame. Okay. So what are the advantages of this particular pandas? It's easy for handling missing data. Okay. Represented as NaN. NaN is nothing but a not a number. Okay. Size mutability. That means we can change the size. And labeling and slicing of the data is like pretty easy. Reshaping of the data is also pretty easy. So, and you can automatically join, merge different data sets and all that stuff you can do using pandas. So that is the reason we are using this particular tool. So let's just quickly jump into the Jupyter notebook of this. So okay. So yeah, so that's our Jupyter notebook. Okay, so pandas will actually help you to load, prepare, manipulate, model, and analyze the data. Okay, so how do you import pandas? The first step is importing pandas. So import pandas as PD, and we are also importing NumPy just for in case. I'm just importing them. Okay, now this is what we call as a list, right? So animals is a list which is having three members in it: tiger, one, and moose. And then I'm converting that particular list into a series. Okay, I'm converting that into a series. So you can see the output. The output is tiger, one, and moose. And tiger is at the 0th index, one is at the first index, moose at the second index. So these indexes will be displayed by default. Okay. So before just going into what is a series and data frame, I would like you to visualize like how this series and data frames will work in pandas. Okay. So I would like to quickly just show, right? So see, series is like this. Okay, it's just a unidirectional data. It's a single dimensional data. So you can assume that a series will be like this, just like an array. Okay, just like an array. So whatever you put will be stored just like an array. So in this case, I'm putting some variable here and then some variable here and then some variable here. So this will have some indexes, so 0, 1, and 2, and so on. Okay, so this is a series. So what is a data frame now? A data frame is nothing but like a table. It's just like an SQL table. Okay, it's just like an SQL table. So you have multiple columns. Okay, you have multiple columns and multiple rows. Okay, so one thing that you have to observe here is that a data frame. See, this is a data frame. Okay, this is a data frame. This is a data frame. Okay. So one thing that you have to observe here in this particular data frame is that you can put a series into a data frame. You can put a series into a data frame. What I mean by that, that means data frame is nothing but a combination of series. Okay. So data frame acts as a container, and in that container, you can put multiple series. So what do we mean by that? That means, let's say if I take this complete thing, okay, I can put it here in this first column. So I can put like this. Okay, so this particular thing, what do we have here? Okay, this particular thing, what we have here is now one series. Okay, similarly I can take another column here, and that another column will become another series. Okay, similarly I can take another column and the another column will become another series. Like that, you can, a data frame is nothing but a container which contains multiple series as columns. Okay, so this is how the background working of series and data frames. Okay, so with that understanding, we can see like what else we can do. Okay, so series is size immutable. Okay, so I have already told you what is mutability and immutability. Mutability is like I can change, I can modify. Okay, immutability is that we cannot change. Okay, so size immutable in the sense like once you have defined a series, okay, you cannot change the size of that particular series. It is not possible. If you are doing it, it is like you are creating a new series and copying the elements from the previous series to the new one. Okay, but it is not actually changing the existing one. Okay, that is what we mean by size immutable. Okay, but all data structures in pandas are value mutable. What do you mean by that? That means if I want to change a particular value in this particular series, I can do that. Okay, but I cannot change the size. That means, let's say here the size of this particular series is actually 3. I cannot change it to 5 or 10. That is not possible. Okay. The moment we try to do it, it is like copying it into a new series. Okay. So we are creating a new data structure area, right? So here you can see that when I create a list and then I pass it to the series function, the indexes are from 0, 1, and 2. So what if the indexes you want to change? You want the index numbers to be something different. So what you can do is, like, when you're passing the data to the series, you can also mention something called as a index. Okay. Again, this index is nothing but a list. So instead of the default 0, 1, and 2, now you are mentioning that start the index from 100th number. So you can do that. Okay. Now, what else you can do in a series? Okay. So when you, till now what we were doing is, like, we were passing a list to the series. Okay. We were passing a list to the series. Okay. Here, right? And here what did we do? We passed a numpy array to the series. So both are fine. Okay. You can change a list to series as well as a numpy array also to a series. Now here what we have done is, like, we have passed a dictionary. Okay. This is a Python dictionary. This is a key, and this is the value. Okay. So I'm just passing a dictionary to the series. The moment you pass a dictionary to the series, what will happen is, whatever keys you have mentioned here, for example, A, B, and C are 3 keys. Now that keys will become the index here. Okay. That keys will become the index. That means the series is now, I mean, the pandas is not going to follow anymore the default indexing. Rather, it will take from the dictionary and it will put those keys as the index. Okay. So you can also see another thing here, which is animals is equals to, I'm defining 3 variables, but this time what I have passed is, instead of one item, I have given a none. Okay. I have given a none. And when you represent none, the same none comes here. Okay. None is nothing but I have not given any data right now, because I don't know what the data might be. Okay. Why I have given this example here is that when you pass that with strings, you can see that it is printing a none. Okay. The same thing, if you are passing it with a number list, it will print a nan. Because what pandas is thinking is that in this particular list, because these things are numbers, it is also expecting that the next number also will be a number. Since we have passed a none, that means we don't know what is the value. It is taking that it is not a number. Okay. Now, this is just a simple comparison here. Okay. What I tried to show here is that basically this none and nan are different. Okay. None and nan are different, and they are basically the object types. Okay. I mean, they both are actually objects. Okay. So when I try to compare using a double equals to symbol, it says false because both are not same. And you can see that np.nan double equals to np.nan, this also returns a false. The reason is being double equals to always compares the value. Okay. So if you are saying not a number, we don't know what is a number, so you cannot compare. So it is returning a false. Okay. But when you have a function like this isNan, what is it checking is that it is checking the object type, whether both the types are actually same or not. So np.isNan and np.nan, yeah, nan and nan both are same types. Okay, that's why it is returning a true. It is not comparing a value, it is comparing the type. Okay, so that is the idea behind, like, why I have shown you this difference. Okay, and then again we are creating another series here with some index like this, index America and Canada, and then you can see here, right? Now here again I have done the same thing, but this time what I have done is I've taken a dictionary called sports, and these are the key and value pairs here. But you can see that I'm passing it to a series. I passed it to a series. Now I have given index only as golf, sumo, and hockey. Okay. So what will happen right now is that it will check whether these particular things are there here. Okay. Golf is there here, so golf will come. Sumo is there here in the dictionary, so sumo will come. And hockey is not there in the dictionary, but because we have mentioned it in the series index, it comes as the index, but it doesn't have any value in the dictionary, so it is returning a nan. Okay. Now that's how you create a series. Now how to fetch, I mean, how to query from a series. Once you have created the data, how to fetch the data. Okay. So basically for fetching, we have these two functions. One is called as an iloc and the second one is called as a lock. Okay. iloc stands for integer location and then loc stands for location. Okay. So integer location takes a number. This is just like our array indexing. So if I want to retrieve something, I can just mention what is the index number of that particular item. Okay. So if I mention 3, okay. So whatever is the third one, that will come as the answer. So here in this case, this is the dictionary. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. So third one is actually the taekwondo, but please remember when you mention iloc of 3, since this is a dictionary, always remember the dictionary will return the value and not the key. Okay, so that's why it is returning the South Korea. Now instead of integer addressing, you want to do retrieval based on the location of a particular key. So what you can do is like you can do LOC and you mention the key name in it. Okay, so if I mention golf, it will retrieve the corresponding value. Okay, and not just like this, if you want to do a simple addressing like this, that is also fine. S of 3 will return you the same thing as s dot iloc of 3, both are same. Okay, and s of golf also you can do, because this is a dictionary and inside the dictionary you are mentioning the key, it will return the same result as this s dot location of golf, both are same. Okay, coming to the next example. So I've created again a series here. To the series we are passing a dictionary. Okay, we are passing a dictionary, and here also I have created a series, but for this series I am passing a list and I created a index for it. Okay, now why I did this is basically to show you the functionality of append. Okay, so we can actually append one series with another series, that is possible. Okay, so once you do that, you can see that this is the original sports that we have. Okay, this is the cricket loving countries that we have, and this is the appended list. Okay, so you can do appending between two different series, that is possible. Okay, now what is this one? This one is just to show you that, see, the dictionary is having these as keys, 99, 100, 101, 102 and so on. These are the values, and you converted that into a series. Now you are trying to retrieve s of 0. Okay, but please understand, 0 is nothing but either it's an index position or it's the key value. Okay, but there is no such key in this particular dictionary, so it is throwing an error. Okay, since you have to understand one point here, that when you pass a dictionary to a series, automatically the keys that are there in the dictionary will become the indexes of series. So when you say 0, the 0 is not there in the index, so that's why it is retrieving an error. Okay, so that's all about the series. Now let's come to data frames. So like I said, the data frames are just like your tables. Okay, just like your SQL tables, or you can just imagine it's like just like an Excel sheet. Okay, where you have multiple rows and columns, and then you can fetch a particular data based on the cell value. Okay, so data frames are just like that, and just like how you perform some kinds of manipulations in SQL tables, just like that you can do some manipulations here also. Like for example, dropping a particular column and maybe finding a mean of a particular column, finding a median in the particular column, and maybe combining one or two columns, etc., etc. But the only thing is that, see, we don't have the concept of primary key, foreign key, and other stuff. Okay, the representation of the data is same as the SQL, but not exactly it works exactly as SQL. Okay, so let's just see what is data frame. So what we have done here is, like, again, I have taken a data. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. Now please understand that this is actually a series. It's a unidirectional data, only a single dimensional data, but still, yeah, still I can convert that into a data frame. So how do you do that? So what you take an object like df pd dot data frame and pass this data. Okay, now I print the df. So if I print the df, you can see that this is printed as a table now, and because it's a unidirectional data, I mean, I have passed just only a single list, so that single list is getting displayed along with the index numbers. Okay, now creating a data frame from the list of lists. Okay, so how did we do that? So this Arjun and 10 is one list, Kiran and 12 is one list, Vinay and Tatan is another list. Okay, so you can see that this is what I was telling you just now. If it is a single list, I can convert it into a series, right? But what if there are multiple lists? It is nothing but multiple series given to a data frame. Okay. So like I said, a data frame is nothing but a container of multiple series. So that's what we are exactly doing here. Okay. So I can consider that this one is as a series, this one as a series, and this one as a series. Okay. So all the three are three different series. Now I'm trying to convert that into a data frame. So what I did basically here is like I converted that into a data frame, passed this data here, list of lists, and I'm just mentioning what are the column headers. Okay. So when I say columns is equals to name and age, you can see that in the output, this will come as name and age as the column headers. Okay. For example, if I remove this, okay, if I would have removed this and if I run it, okay, so you can see that here we got the table, but there are no column headers. Okay, there are no column headers, and pandas is doing the default indexing. So this is the 0th column and this is the first column. So in order to avoid the default indexing and you want to give some column header, you need to give this attribute called as columns. Okay, so name and age, and d type is same as what we have seen yesterday in NumPy. You can just mention whether it is a integer or a float or whatever. Okay. Now, this time we are trying to convert a data frame using the arrays. Okay. So what I did here is like arrays in the sense nothing but like I passed a dictionary. But if you see here, the value that we are passing for the key name, okay, is nothing but a list. Okay. And similarly for the age, it is also a list. Okay. So what will happen here right now is like from these lists, it will take both the items Arjun and 28, Kiran and 30, and John and 32, like that. It will take values from each of these lists and it will convert that into a table and put it into a data frame. So that's what you can see absolutely here. Okay. So since we are passing a dictionary, and the key value is already mentioned, that means the first one is the name, the second one is the age. I don't need to specifically mention what are the column headers because the pandas itself knows that it is a dictionary and the key value is nothing but our index. So it will automatically take the column headers. Okay. So similar to that, I have created another one here, list of dictionaries. Okay. I passed a list of dictionaries here. Okay. And I created this. Okay. But here what you can see is like in the first dictionary, I have two variables, two keys. So A and B with values 1 and 2. And in the second dictionary, I have A20, B20 and C30. But please understand the C is not there in the first dictionary. So when we are trying to create a data frame, you can see that because the first dictionary is not having C value, that will be taken as a not a number, none. Okay, because that value is actually missing, right? Now coming to the next one, like in this particular section, we will know like how to merge one or two columns. Okay, how to merge one or two columns, or if you want to delete a particular column, how to delete that particular column. So okay, so quickly, this is my data. Okay, from the dictionary I've taken this particular data and this is my data frame. Okay, so my initial data frame looks like this. Okay, my initial data frame looks like this, right? So if I want to select only a particular column, so what I can do is I can do df of from that data frame, and the input to that particular thing is the column name. Okay, the column name or the column header. Okay, so when you say df of 1, it will take only the first column and it will display. So it should display 1, 2, 3 and ABC. That's what exactly is getting displayed here. Okay, now adding a new column to the current data frame. Okay, adding a new column to the current data frame. So like I said, this data frame is already having two columns, right? Two columns. So when I want to add a third column here, please understand the third column will be nothing but a series. Okay, and that series we are pushing it into this particular data frame. So what I am supposed to do now, I'm supposed to create a data series, pd.series with 3 values and 3 index positions, and I am putting it into the data frame and I am naming the header of that particular column as 3. So you can see that a new okay, I didn't print it. If you want, I can just print the data frame here and then I can show you. Okay, So adding a new column by passing a series. So you can see that there is a new column that is added. That is the third column here. Okay. Now similarly, when you want to add a new column using existing columns, that means let's say I want to combine values of two columns and create it into a fourth column. That's what exactly I have done here. Okay. So I took the values from the first column, took the values from the third column, put it into the fourth column. Okay. So after adding these two, you can see that this is how my data frame is looking now. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and the fourth column is actually a combination of, I mean, the summation of first and the third columns. So 1 plus 10, 11, 2 plus 2, 20, 22, so on. Okay. So this is how we can add new columns into the data frame. So it is nothing but adding a new series to the data frame. Okay. So if you want to delete something, you can use the del function. Okay. Del df of 1, it'll delete a particular column. Okay. And similarly, if you want to pop, there is an option to pop also, that also will work. Okay. If you don't mention anything here, it will generally delete any one random column. Okay. But you have to mention what you want to delete. Okay. So both will work. So that's how you actually add and delete columns from a data frame. Okay. So coming to the next one, two-dimensional array with some heterogeneous data. Okay. So I've taken a 3 series here. Okay. This is one series, I passed a dictionary. This is another series, I passed a dictionary. And this is another series, I passed another dictionary. Okay. Now I'm passing these 3 series, purchase 1, purchase 2, purchase 3, as a list. Okay. To the data frame. So what will happen? Like I said, it will take these 3 series and it will create a data frame. Now for that, each series, I'm giving them names. Okay. I'm giving them the index. So store 1, store 2, and store 3. So you can see that this is one series. Second row is one series. Third row is another series. Okay. And this is store 1, store 2, and store 3. The index that I've given to them. Okay. Now again, the accessing from a data frame is same as what we have seen earlier in the series. Okay. So df dot location of whatever name that you're trying to mention. Okay. So that alone will be retrieved. Similarly, if you want to do, you can do an iloc also based on the index position. Okay. One more good function that we have here is like, this is a transpose function. Okay. This is a transpose function. So like I said, because the data frame is actually nothing but a table, so I can quickly do a transpose on it. Okay. So if I do a transpose, okay, this is how the data is going to get transposed. So earlier you can see that the stores are here. Now the table has taken a transpose. Okay. Similarly, if you want to mention retrieve any other columns, for example, you can do this double indexing. For example, from store 1, I want the cost. So I'll take only that. So store 1 cost. So this 22.5 should be retrieved here. Okay. Right. So what about this one? This one is accessing the location. So yesterday I was telling you, right? First colon, comma, this list. So what do you mean by that? So before the comma, it represents the rows. After the comma, it represents the columns. So we are telling the pandas that, because just we are mentioning a column, we are telling it that you consider all rows, but in the columns, you just take only name and cost. So that's the reason it has taken only name and cost and all the rows. So what is excluded? Excluded one is the item purchased. We didn't take the item purchased, right? So, and by the way, when you want to put this into a different data frame, for example, like here I'm not doing df is equals to df dot log. Okay, if you do this, what will happen is like it is changing the original data frame. Okay, but let's say you don't want to change the new original data frame, but you want a new data frame. So in that case, what you can do is like you can assign it to a new data frame and take it like this. Okay, so what's the error? Or in the columns. Oh, sorry, I didn't execute from the beginning. I'm so sorry. So I have to execute from the beginning. Okay. So that's the error, guys. I have to execute from here because I didn't even create the data frame. Okay. So your execution should be always in the sequential order only, then you will see the output. Running suddenly. Yeah. So you can see this right now, right? So there is a new DF that is created and that new DF is now this one. If you print the old df, the old df will remain still the same. Okay, so it will remain same. See, old one remains same. So this is how you can copy it into a new data frame. Okay. Now, when you want to drop a particular column, you can also do this. So df.drop, just like how you drop a particular table or drop a column in the SQL databases, like that, you can drop a column here. So df.drop of store one, it will drop it. Okay. But please understand again the same thing. See, df.drop of store one is not getting reassigned to df. Okay, so it just drops the store one and it will just show you the result, but it is not actually modifying the original data frame. If you want to modify the original data frame, you have to assign it like this: df is equals to df.drop. So it will drop the store one. After dropping the store one, whatever is the resultant, that will be assigned back to the same data frame. Okay, so because we are not assigning it here, you can see that even after dropping here, still when you print the df, it is still containing all the stores. Okay. So if you want to do like this, you have to take like this. You have to reassign, and then if you print, the store one is actually dropped. Okay. So this is some idea on how to use series and data frames in Pandas. Okay. Now Pandas is not just about series and data frames. We can do much more things on that. So with respect to the question that is asked in this session, okay, how do we load data set? Okay, how do we load a data set? So what I have done here right now is I have taken one data set which is called as KC housing data set. It's a house data set. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is like, let's just go to the place where I have my data set. So this is where I have. So just right click, copy the path to that particular data set, and then come back. Okay, in the double quotes, just mention where is that particular path. Okay, so yeah, how are we loading the data set? So for loading the data set, see, we have something called pd dot. If you keep a tab, okay, so you will understand what all things you can do. So you can read a CSV, you can read an Excel. Okay, you can read multiple other formats. You can read a JSON format, you can read a SQL table. Okay, you have multiple options. Okay, so mostly our data sets will be either in Excel format or CSV format or TSV formats. Okay, so you can read those files. So CSV is basically a comma separated value. For those people who don't know what is a CSV, okay, it's just a comma separated value. I'll just show you like how is it going to look like. Okay, and then TSV files are tab separated values, and Excel files are your normal XLS or XLSX files. Okay, so you can read this using this format. Okay, so the moment you do this pd.read CSV, it will take the complete content that is available in that particular CSV file and converts it into a data frame and puts it in the DF. That means DF is an object here. Okay, so the moment I do this, you can see I can just directly print a DF. Okay, so if I do that, you can see this is my KC housing data set. Okay, the housing data set that I have. So you can see that what is the dimension of this particular data set? It is 21613 rows. Okay, so we have around 21,000 rows and 21 columns. Okay, we have 21 columns, right? But let's say I just don't want to display everything here. See, because this will not display everything, but I just want to display the head of it. So I can just say display head. Sorry, it's a function. Okay, display the head. Head always displays the top 5 rows. Okay, the top 5 rows. Now this is how we read a CSV file. Okay, and if you carefully observe here, the indexing of this particular rows is again by default 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. But if you look at this particular data set, this is already having an ID field. Okay, so the ID is actually a unique ID. If you want to consider this as an index column, so what we have to do is like, we can say what is our index column. Okay, so index underscore column equal to 0. So the moment I do that, what is happening is in the table, the 0th column, that means the ID column, is now taken as the index. Okay, so we don't have that default indexing by the pandas anymore. Okay, so this is our data right now. So if you want to see the shape of that particular data, you can also do a print df dot shape. Okay, so that will tell us, okay, this is the shape of the data. So we have around 20 columns right now, and then 21613 rows are there in this particular data set. Okay, so like I said, it's not just that we have to load only a CSV file. You just put a pd dot and then read. There are multiple methods. Okay, so you can just know like what all things you can do. You can read an Excel, you can read a CSV, and so many other stuff. Okay. Um, so yeah, before this call is going to drop again in 2 minutes. So before that, I would like to show like how this CSV file will look like. Okay. So if you just open this CSV file with any text editor, okay, I'm just using a Visual Studio Code right now. So if you open with a CSV, any text editor, you can see that these are comma separated values. Okay, so you have all comma separated values. So the first line is actually the header. So ID, comma, date, comma, price, comma, bedrooms, comma, bathrooms, and so on. And from the second row, you can see that those are the values, and the values are also comma separated. Okay, but the same thing if you open it with an Excel. Okay, the same thing if you open it with an Excel, you can visualize it much better. Okay, so the moment you open it with an Excel, what will happen is like Excel has the default feature that it can read the CSV data, and it will put each and every column separately like this in a nice visual way. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do. So comma separated values is one way, tab separated values are another way, and you can also use Excel and XLSX also. Okay, so with that, we'll close this here and then we'll continue. Please join back the call.